Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you may be watching this recording. Thank you for taking the time to participate in the Farmland Health Check-Up Training Module. In partnership with Ontario's Certified Crop Advisors, CCAs, and Professional Agrologists, PAGs, the Farmland Health Checkup, referred to as the FHCU, provides producers a unique opportunity to work with the CCA or PAG. The Ontario Soil and Crop Improvement Association, referred to as OSCIA, delivers the FHCU in Ontario. OSCIA offers the program at no cost to the producer to encourage all producers to complete an assessment of on-farm soil health and develop a list of best management practices or BMPs that would be targeted to their operation. Welcome to Module 1. This self-guided training module is required viewing for all CCAs or PAGs, collectively referred to as advisors, to become certified to deliver the FHCU. Module 1 is compulsory for all advisors who are new to delivering the FHCU and offers an introduction to the program. Module 2 will offer further support for the online tool used to deliver the FHCU. Should you have any questions after viewing this recording, please email fhcu@ontariosoilcrop.org. Contact information will also be shown at the end of this module. Module 1 will cover the topics listed. This module provides an overview of the FHCU's purpose, the advisor's role in this process, and the program's process and components. So let's jump right in. Starting in 2023, funding for the FHCU is provided through the Sustainable Canadian Agricultural Partnership, Sustainable CAP, a 5-year investment by the federal, provincial, and territorial governments. Sustainable CAP is positioned to strengthen competitiveness, innovation, and the resiliency of agriculture, agri-food, and agri-based products sectors. Through the FHCU, Sustainable CAP supports the identification of areas for improvement and implementation of BMPs on farms across Ontario. FHCU objectives. The objective of the FHCU is to provide co-benefits for enhancing soil health, water quality, and pollinator habitat, which build resiliency at the farm level while strengthening the sustainability of the agricultural sector as a whole. This is achieved by offering the FHCU at no cost to producers as a tool which can be accessed by producers and used for long-term planning. The tool allows producers to identify areas on their farm where improvements can be made by implementing specific best management practices. What is the Farmland Health Checkup? Well, the FHCU was developed by the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Agribusiness Soils Team, OSCIA, and input from Certified Crop Advisors. The program is designed to allow producers to access the expertise of an agricultural advisor free of charge to conduct a detailed assessment of current land management practices using a 3-field approach and to discuss improvements. The digital workbook facilitates this assessment. By entering in field-specific data on soil, water quality, nutrient management, and other practices, the digital workbook automatically calculates ratings and identifies areas for improvement. The advisors can then use the ratings to develop the recommendations that are tailored to address the specific in-field challenges and work with the producer to implement the best management practices. You may also be asking, why the 3-field approach? The 3-field approach was chosen to compare practices in challenging versus less challenging fields. A field may be challenging for many reasons. In most cases, this is noticeable through poor crop performance or perhaps soil health issues, such as erosion or compaction. Keep in mind the leading factor for why you chose the field as challenging, but also allow the process of completing the workbook to reveal all possible factors and areas for improvement. The less challenging field will highlight the potential of the farm and may provide realistic targets for the other fields. The main responsibility of an advisor is to deliver the FHCU professionally and to use it as an opportunity to support your clients in understanding their farm's soil and water health. When you're working through the workbook, take the time to complete it thoroughly and walk through the recommended best management practices with your client. An honest discussion with your clients about their farm operations, goals, and actions to take moving forward allows you to build stronger client relationships. We do not expect advisors to be experts on the variety of programs that OSCIA offers to producers, and so we encourage you to direct all cost share program questions to oscia@ontariosoilcrop.org. This will ensure your clients get the most current information about programs and eliminate any risk of inadvertent misdirection. Finally, advisors are encouraged to provide feedback to OSCIA through the survey found on the Advisor Certification webpage or by emailing fhcu@ontariosoilcrop.org directly. Feedback helps improve the delivery and impact of the FHCU program by identifying strengths, gaps, and opportunities for refinement. The FHCU is a unique service that you can offer your clients. Advisors have shared with OSCIA that the process opens the door to deeper conversations about farm operation and future goals, which has strengthened their client relationships. Advisors are paid for each completed FHCU, as we recognize the time it takes to walk through a farm visit, complete the workbook, and discuss B&P priorities with your clients. The compensation is designed to fairly acknowledge your professional time and expertise with the anticipated time commitment of 3 to 5 hours per FHCU. Specific details about compensation can be found on the Advisor Certification page of the FHCU website. The advisor must submit a completed claim form to the FHCU email in order to receive compensation. This form can be found on the website, also on the Advisor Certification page. Submitting the digital workbook will automatically send you a confirmation email reminding you to submit a claim form. Ensure that the name on the claim form is the name of the individual or business to receive payment. No additional fees or charges will be paid by OSCIA. Now that we've reviewed your role with this program, you may be asking, what requirements are there for producers to participate? OSCIA is happy to announce that the FHCU is available to producers province-wide. The program was expanded as of November 2025, but there are many ways in which a producer can get in touch with you. As previously stated, we do encourage advisors to advertise the FHCU as another component of their services. That way, you can work with producers that are already a part of your customer base. Additionally, producers may contact advisors directly by finding their information on the FHCU website on the Find an Advisor webpage. This is where advisors' names and contact details are listed. While working with local clients can support in-person meetings, the program may also be delivered virtually as well. This allows advisors located anywhere in the province to assist any producer without geographical restrictions. For the FHCU program, advisors may work with clients to submit an FHCU workbook at any time of the year. However, a reminder that the current funding program under Sustainable CAP closes on March 31st, 2028. And finally, it is important to remember that soil test results are required to properly fill out the workbook, and costs for completing a soil test are not covered by this program. FHCU process and components. Let's take a look at how the FHCU works in practice. The FHCU process can be broken down into 6 easy steps, starting with connecting with the producer and ending with collecting payment. We've heard from advisors that this is usually how the process unfolds, as shown on the slide. Let's review each step in more detail. Connecting with producers can happen in many ways. While it can be very beneficial to connect with clients in person on their farm, we recognize that schedules don't always allow for this. The workbook is designed to allow for virtual connections as well. Check out the resource page for a how-to guide completing the FHCU with producers, which reviews the different ways an advisor can connect with their client. To streamline workbook completion during your visit, download and send a copy of the FHCU workbook ahead of time so that the producer is aware of what is required and can gather all of the necessary information. Advisors can take the extra step to ensure specific documents are assembled before the meeting, including the client's most recent version of their environmental farm plan, if available. A reminder that a completed EFP is not a prerequisite to the FHCU, but information contained within the EFP, especially soils data, will be very helpful. You will also need the most recent soil test results for the 3 fields being evaluated. Also, planting, fertilization, tillage, manure application, weed, and pest management records. You'll need yield data, crop rotation and cover crop information, any records of crop failures or severe weather, field, soil, or other useful maps, nutrient management plans, and an inventory of pollinator sources found on the farm. We encourage you to look through the resources found on our webpage, especially around mapping, soil information, and county yield averages. The workbook is split into 4 different sections: client information, soil health, water quality and nutrient management, and pollinator health. It's a structured way of gathering all of the key data needed. The digital FHCU workbook will walk you through these components in order. You must complete the sections sequentially to complete the workbook. Let's review each component now. Client information is a very self-explanatory section. You'll need to provide the name and the address of the farm, the producer's name, and so on. The last row here, the identification of the 3 fields, is the unique part of the FHCU. You must distinguish between 3 fields, providing GPS coordinates and a clear map. There are no minimum or maximum size requirements for a field. You can even split a naturally defined area into multiple fields as long as the sections are differentiated clearly and labeled. Within section 1, make sure to enter data for your least challenging field into field 1, and your most challenging field or fields will be in fields 2 and or 3. Moving on to section 2, this is where questions about soil type, field slope, cropping history, and tillage, as well as any best management practices that are currently being used, will be asked. Materials on the resource page will help you determine soil type, and the Farmland Health Check-Up Guide document will provide more details about each section and will support you through its completion. Here is a clearer example of how you can use the materials on the resources page to fill out the information that is asked in section 2. Use the soil summary sheets to help identify the soil series itself and fill in the natural drainage class, erosion factor, and any potential for soil compaction directly. For section 3, this section will ask about soil tests, and at least 1 soil test per field will be required to be able to complete the FHCU. You will also be prompted for information about fertilizer use, including the 4R principles of right product, right rate, right time, and right place. This is a great example of records your client will want to have handy before your meeting. For section 4, this is the only section that covers the entire farm. This Farmland Health Challenge, called Pollinator Health, is meant to encourage conversations about pollinator habitat across the producer's landscape. This section is also quite self-explanatory. Just remember that vegetated areas do not mean mowed lawn or overgrazed pastures or cropped fields. Now that you've completed the workbook, you will come to the part called the assessment. The digital FHCU automatically uses a scoring system to create ratings for each field's various farmland health challenges, including topics like water erosion, subsurface compaction, organic matter, and soil life, just to name a few. Questions in the workbook, for example, percent cover after planting, contribute to the scores for each field, and these totals result in ratings of poor, fair, good, or best. The assessment will automatically highlight where BMP recommendations are required. As you can see in these images, an overview of each challenge is shown, and you are able to expand each challenge for more detail. Within each Farmland Health Challenge, there are 4 assessment components that need to be completed for each field. It's laid out nicely in the digital FHCU, with prompts to complete, required fields including the descriptive BMPs to implement, the rationale behind them, priority ratings for each action, a target date for completing the BMPs, and finally, future supporting activities. Let's break each of these 4 components down in more detail. Once you have opened a specific Farmland Health Challenge, such as water erosion, like shown here, the first table displays the individual scores and how they are totaled to generate the overall rating for that challenge. Best management practice recommendations are required for anything rated 3 or lower, as those are areas that may benefit from implementing a BMP. The digital workbook will highlight which areas scored low. Here we can see that the crop rotations for field 3 in particular scored a 0. So you will want to address crop rotation in your field 3 recommendation. Evidence of erosion and percent cover scored 3 or lower on all 3 fields, meaning there may be a broader recommendation you can make instead of one focused on a more targeted field-specific concern. Refer to the BMP selection guide found on the resource page for suggested practices and rationale suggestions. When setting priority levels, keep in mind that the main goal of the FHCU is to serve as a long-term planning tool for producers. We encourage you to put thought and expertise into these answers, which can benefit the producer's farm operation in the immediate and long term. Priority 1 is the highest priority. Whatever level you set should tell the producer in a practical sense which actions should occur sooner rather than later. This example, as shown here, tells me that tillage erosion is a high priority across all 3 fields, but perhaps field 3 could be addressed after fields 1 and 2. Set realistic target dates. Remember that your producer may not know when or where to start in terms of implementing the BMP recommendations. By setting target dates, you are providing a guide that the producer can follow. If the practice being implemented is more complex or long-term, include a target date that corresponds with the first step, and then add a detailed implementation timeline in the Future Supporting Activities section. Within the Future Supporting Activities section, you may also include information such as further background, additional activities, practices, or information the producer can use to apply across the farm, or things that they can keep up with long term. This also includes practices that may require further research before implementation. Remember that there are materials on the resources page there to support you through the workbook completion process and the BMP recommendations section. Additionally, there is a sample workbook available to all account holders, which you can view at any time. Ensure that all challenge assessment pages are complete before submitting, as you cannot go back and edit answers once you have hit submit. As noted on this final page, both you and the producer will receive a confirmation email once you have successfully submitted the workbook. As the advisor, it is your responsibility to download and share a copy of the completed workbook with the producer. Workbooks can be downloaded as a PDF at any time from your account if the producer requests a copy at a later date. Do this by selecting the Download button found to the right of each workbook within your list. Additionally, once the producer receives a copy of their completed workbook, it is the advisor's responsibility to review the recommended BMPs with the producer. Advisors often facilitate this through either an in-person meeting or even a quick phone call to ensure that the producer understands the recommendations and implementation timelines provided. As the advisor, you can then record your follow-up time on the claim form. Now that we've covered delivery, let's look at what happens next, how the FHCU data is used. Many participants may wonder how the data within the FHCU workbooks is used by OSCIA. You can reassure your clients that all individual farm business data remains confidential. OSCIA aggregates field-related data and practices to assess trends in the agricultural sector in order to answer questions about the prevalence of climate-smart practices. As we come toward the close of this module, it's helpful to pull the key insights into focus. In Module 1, we've learned about the FHCU program and reviewed the process and components you'll be working through. As a reminder, the FHCU serves as a long-term planning tool, helping producers improve soil health and more, all while collectively providing insight into the trends of BMP choices and implementation across the province. The role of the advisor is to provide technical expertise to lead a meaningful discussion of BMP implementation to address in-field challenges. Producers from across the province are eligible to participate and work with an advisor located anywhere in the province. It is the advisor's responsibility to ensure the producer is informed of what they need to gather for the FHCU assessment. Ensuring the producer has all of this necessary information on hand will make completing the workbook a much smoother process. Components of the workbook include client information, soil health, water quality and nutrient management, and pollinator health. Helpful resources can always be found on the FHCU website resources page. You have now completed Module 1 in the Farmland Health Check-Up Advisor certification process. This module will remain online and can be accessed as needed if you would like to come back to review part of the presentation again in the future. We encourage you to watch Module 2. It contains valuable details about navigating the FHCU website and dives deeper into the BMP planning process. Reach out through the FHCU email with any questions, concerns, and feedback. You can also access a feedback survey on the Advisor Certification page of the FHCU website. Follow the QR code if you prefer to answer prompted questions. Lastly, visit the OSCIA main webpage and subscribe to OSCIA's program mailing list to stay informed of other programs and events. Thank you.